Hello everybody, how you doing today? It's a new day, it's a fresh day. I hope you're up, shaking, and baking. So I always say that all my guests on the Powerful Podcast are amazing and phenomenal people. Some people always ask me, how do you get your guests? Well, just search the internet. So one day I was looking at the internet, then I saw this guy's content. His breakdown. Yo man, who is this brother? So I quickly DM'd him and we had a conversation, and thankfully he's here today. His name is Roy Dano. Did I get it right, Roy?
You got it right. Thank you.
He's the founder of Pivot Media. It's a marketing agency, and they are doing an amazing job. You're based here in the UK.
Yeah.
And so, Roy, first of all, I like the name of your business. Why did you call it Pivot Media?
Pivot, the word itself, it speaks for itself. It's a new way and a different way, and making a change in how we market brands and how we help them to grow, how we help them to scale, and a different way of, or having a total different angle when it comes down to positioning yourself on social media. That was key. And that's how the name Pivot Media came about.
Very interesting. What brought you to this world of sales and marketing? Was there a deficit in your life? What happened to you?
I wouldn't say something happened to me, but I've always been involved in sales. Before getting into marketing, I was involved in property for a short while. And I was basically helping companies to sell their properties and dealing with different clients and helping them with the process of selling new home developments. So naturally, I've always been involved in sales. And when I moved on and decided to start consulting in the beginning, when it came to marketing, I understood very quickly that sales is the backbone of every business.
That's right.
No matter what industry you decide to go into, you cannot avoid sales.
Yeah.
It's the backbone. How are you going to attract new customers? How are you going to onboard new customers? And that is all done through your sales process. And the more tidy and the more systematic your sales process is, then your business will always be in a very good position.
Very interesting. Very, very interesting. What is a sales process? Because you said the more tidy and the more clear your business process is, the more leads you have in the funnel, and the more leads you have in the funnel, the higher the probability that you convert a few of them into paying customers. What is a sales process? Because a lot of people hear these terms and they don't know exactly what it is.
So the simplest way to explain a sales process, let's say you are a service-based business.
Okay.
And let's say in my case, I'm running a marketing agency. We work with brands. We are heavily on retainers. And how are we able to attract our customers, for one? And two, how are we able to get them from seeing our agency, seeing what we're doing for other brands, getting them onto a call, and then, not convincing them, but showing them that we're the right people to work with to provide solutions to the problems they're currently facing in their business. That's one. And two, how do you go from onboarding to now delivery? That's also still part of the sales process. In my view, everyone's got a different thought process on this, but I believe all of these segments is part of the sales process. So in my case, there's a few ways that we're able to, generate sales. One can be through paid ads, where you're, creating content specifically speaking about the pain points that your customer avatar could be facing and how you can help with a solution. Now, being able to hook that person in to your video and having a call to action and sending them to a specific funnel, sales landing page where you can show more credibility. You can speak about what you've done for other brands. You can speak about how you help brands to grow. You can speak a bit about yourself, not too much, just showing them that you're the right person to work with, that you actually have credibility and you actually have skin in the game. And most importantly, you can also show testimonials from other brands who have worked with you and you delivered a great service, right? Now, that's front end. But now back end, if you're running ads, for example, and you are, people are filling out your call booking form and they're booking in calls, what does that look like in the back end? Your sales process. Who's going to go into the calls? Who's going to be appointment setting? Who's going to be closing? Now once that is done, what's the onboarding process like? How do you make that customer feel like they're in safe hands? What happens a lot of the time is a customer can talk to an agency. The agency will tell them all of this lovely stuff that they can do for them. The customer will pay them, and then the customer gets nothing from the agency. And then sometimes the agency doesn't deliver a good service because of something as small as communication. So not to go on too long, the sales process to me is how you go from attracting a customer to onboarding a customer and delivering a great service to a customer.
Very, very good. Is there a difference between that and the sales funnel? Because Russell Brunson talks about the sales funnel. I just believe that's just a simple thing. Is there a difference between that and the sales funnel?
Well, Russell Brunson is an amazing marketer. I mean, I've read his book, .com Secret. I've read a couple of them. And yes, he speaks about funnel, but the main thing is your funnel is the process that you create for your customer to go from a prospect to an actually onboarded client.
Yeah.
That's what you call a sales funnel. And within that sales funnel, depending on how you're deciding to do it, you can have a video sales letter. You can have a landing page specifically just showing how you've helped brands or showing different case studies. It depends on what you want to do. You can send your client directly to a call booking form. That does work, but I feel like actually showing credibility and showing what you've done for other brands and explaining to a brand how you can potentially help them and solve their problems is a much better option.
Very, very good. Very good. So, I mean, you've spoken about showing credibility twice now in this conversation. Can you share with us specific ways through which people can create credibility assets for their businesses?
So, number one, I would say is through case studies, actually showcasing what you've done for brands. How have you helped them? How have you supported them? What have you done? What service have you delivered for them?
Good.
But with that being said, we all know that everybody starts somewhere. What if you're at the very start of your journey and you don't have any case studies? That's something that a lot of people struggle with. You don't want to be the type of person that makes things up and creates these false case studies.
Yeah.
You can start speaking about, you can, for example, look at a brand and you can look at how they're marketing yourself and you can create a case study speaking about how you would do a better job, how you can add more value, or how you've seen a specific brand potentially miss further growth because they're not doing X, Y, or Z. So in my view, that's how you can create credibility. On one end, you've actually done it for brands, you've got the experience. On the other end, you could be a startup and it's new for you, but you're showing that you understand the marketing process. You're showing that you know how to find opportunity for further growth, and somebody may still give you a chance based on that. Once that opportunity comes and you start working for a client, it's now your duty to deliver the best service possible and be honest with them. The thing about the marketing industry, sometimes what you find is agencies do not want to be honest with their clients because they feel like it's a bad reflection of their work. But the truth is, as marketers, yes, we're good at our job, but we are not magicians. You know, we can only do what we can. We can help based on the foundation that you've set. And sometimes you may not see results straight away. It can take a while. You see? So it's key to understand that even once you've built credibility and you're working with a brand, you have to be honest with them throughout the entire process. Meaning, if you're doing something and it's not generating the best results at that moment, tell them and look at why and provide a solution immediately. A lot of trial and error, and that's the key.
Interesting. Very, very, very interesting. People have this question in their hearts about the difference between sales, marketing, and branding. What's the difference between these three elements and how do you integrate them in a business?
So I will speak about how I've been able to integrate in my business. So one, looking at sales, we've kind of touched on that, but the long short of sales is what process will you set up in order to attract a customer and onboard them and turn them into a long-term client? That's one. Marketing. How will you position yourself and how will you be perceived by the outside world and your audience? When it comes down to marketing, there's a general misconception that you have to be the best to be the most successful. That's not entirely true. People must perceive for you to be very good in order for you to do well. Not to make it sound like a very manipulative game, but the truth is some of the biggest brands in the world, we buy their product because they have created the perception in our mind that they are the best brand to go to. Let's say you're looking at Coca-Cola, for instance. There's other brands that sell the same product. Not exactly the same formula, but it's still Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
And we go to buy from one specific brand. Why? They've spent a lot of money on research, understanding human psychology, patterns, behaviors, and also creating a perception within the mind of the people that they are the number one brand to go to and buy the product.
Yeah.
Do you see? And when it comes to branding, kind of coincides with marketing, in my view. I mean, your brand is what's going to keep you alive. Let's say, for example, anybody can set up a company and quote unquote build a business, right? But it's brand that's going to keep you alive and make your business have longevity. It's a brand. People remember you for something.
Yeah.
What's your ethos? How do you help develop brands? How do you help them to grow and scale? What do you stand for? Do you see where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
And that's the way I look at things. And having a good balance between all of these three different segments, it's not always easy. Sometimes, you know, you can blur the lines just a little bit, but if you're able to find a healthy balance between all these three segments, you will be okay as a business.
Great. Businesses struggle with channels or avenues of getting new leads into their business. It's a big struggle. In your own opinion, from the brands that you've worked with and people you've consulted with, what are the top 5 channels through which you think a small business listening to us can say, if I use these top 5 channels, I'll be able to get new leads into my business?
So when you say
you can mix it between off and online as well, yeah.
Yeah, when you say channels, are you referring to which platforms to be advertising
I mean,
on,
it
or
could be
different
platform.
strategies?
I mean, it could be events. It could be.
Yeah. So I will speak on what has worked for us and what
Great.
I've seen work for brands that we work with. I've done everything from paid advertisement to email marketing to, you know, sending messages and DMs to brands, sending emails, you know, creating content. And the number one strategy for me that's really done really well and helped me a lot with my own business and businesses that I help is short form content. Creating content on social media and providing as much value as possible, but just really creating a lot of short form content as your primary strategy. And then using paid ads to create further reach on what's already working, right?
That's
And
interesting.
I'll give you a live example. I created one video where I was speaking about website tools for a very successful clothing brand. And I was actually sharing value and making people understand what sort of web tools that brands are using to help them to do well.
I saw that video.
Yeah,
I saw that video. It was very tactical.
Very easy, but it's not the only reason why that brand is successful. I mean, I wouldn't say it's the biggest reason, but when it comes down to online sales, your website, where people come to buy your product, you need to ensure that 1, you're collecting the right data. 2, you have structured your website in such a way that the likelihood of you getting a sale is very, very high. And also, how can you incentivize your customer to buy from you, right? So those are the type of things I spoke about, and people found it very, very valuable. And from that one video, I generated a lot, and I mean a lot of organic leads. People booking in calls, speak with us, and find out how we can support them, how we can help them, how we can assist them with their growth, where they're going wrong. And that was short form content.
Very good.
And that was all organic. And that one video on my account at the time, it's still a small account in the grand scheme of the amount of followers people have out there, but it got almost a million views organically, and it generated a lot of leads. I'm still getting booked calls from that video today, and that was done last year during the summer.
Oh, very good. Did that video convert into a paid client?
Yeah, several paid clients.
This is very, very fascinating.
And it's not only about the video. The video is one thing. It enables somebody to, 1, get or receive a free lead magnet, because what happened was I made a video, I gave them an instruction, If they want to receive the full list of tools being used by X brand, simply comment the word e-commerce, for example, and I will send it over to you. And I was genuinely doing it, just sending it to them, not expecting anything. But naturally, you're able to re-engage in a conversation with that person and now get them to jump on a sales call with you, just a brand. And once you have them on a call with you, just show them how you can share, you can provide value. Listen to them, understand what they're struggling with. Before they jump on a call, they fill out a very short form where you qualify the lead to make sure that it even falls in line with the type of customer you want to work with.
That's right.
Once you've qualified them, once they're on the call, you actually have to make references to the problem that they've mentioned on that form.
That's right.
Tell them that you've listened or you've understood or you've read what they've mentioned, and ask them other questions around that. Listen to them, hear their problems, and then explain and show them how you can provide a solution. If you have to show case studies, by all means do it. If you don't have case studies, then you can use a third-party strategy, which I've told people online, where you can break down another brand's marketing strategy and how you would improve it.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Very, very, very brilliant. This is such a fascinating conversation, Roy. My goodness, this is like an amazing masterclass. Because when you do those breakdowns, it also indirectly showcases your credibility, because you must know your stuff to be able to unpack all of that. I saw that video. I thought that was brilliant. I saw that specific video. All right. So what are some of the mistakes or mistakes that you see small businesses make in England, and you go like, oh my God, this is the reason why you guys are here?
First and foremost, I think irrespective of the size of your company, you are always going to make mistakes. We are still making mistakes today with the team, but we are failing so quickly that we're able to learn faster. And that's the key. Making mistakes and having failures, nobody should be afraid of. The more you make them, the faster you learn, or you should learn, and the faster you can improve. But to answer your question, I will give you a live response from what I've personally done in the past, right? A key mistake that I've definitely done in the past has been communication with brands when it comes down to service delivery. A long time before we got to where we are now, we wasn't using any systems. It was very much ad hoc and very scrappy and kind of going with the flow and not having any systems in place to run the actual business. But when we implemented things like Slack, for example, which is a very good software to use when it comes down to client communication and even communicating with your team and making sure that tasks are being ticked off and making sure that you're staying ahead of the curve, that helped dramatically with our customer retention. If you're working with a brand and they feel like they are not your priority, it's only a matter of time before they fall off. If you're working with a brand and you're speaking about all of these results you're going to generate for them, but every month goes by and you're still in the same position, nothing's changing, they're not seeing you test enough ads, or they're not seeing you pump out enough campaigns through email, you're not directing them and guiding them in the right way, it's only a matter of time before you lose that customer. So making sure that we have systems in place to manage clients really well, communicate with them really well, but also communicate with the delivery team and making sure that everything is being done correctly, it's something that we've done and it's really helped our business.
Great. I also observe of studying you that, I don't know, what is it intentional? You don't really share, correct me if I'm wrong, but you don't really share a lot about your client success stories on your page, clients that you guys have worked with.
Well,
and they've seen results, or is it because of confidential issues and all that? Yeah.
No, it's something that we've actually got a new site that's going to be launched, and we've actually got a whole folder full of different case studies where we've actually made brands write or speak in video and give us testimonials. When you go to my personal brand page, which is roydano.co.uk, and you see my funnel and somebody books a call, The page directly after that actually shows you a lot of our case studies, brands that we've worked with, content synthesis that we've done, results that we've generated. So I think it's a matter of, if you haven't gone through that funnel and you haven't booked in a call with us, you may not have seen that. But on our general website, it's definitely something that will be implemented, I feel, from the end of this month.
Great. And even on your socials as well.
On the social,
like on your Instagram.
I've shared a few things like being a content feed and stuff like that. I think the main thing for my socials and the aim and the key is to educate people.
That's right.
Educate people and help them to, just think about how they're going to market themselves. And also show them how other brands are marketing themselves. And even if you haven't got a very big budget, doesn't mean you can't deliver great marketing.
Very, very interesting. Very interesting. I mean, Roy, before the recording, we're talking about books.
Yeah.
And how both of us are big readers. Yeah, so I read everything. I read philosophy. I read a lot of sales and marketing psychology. I'm currently reading, if I can get hold of it, I'm currently reading The Prince.
Wow, okay. What's that about?
Well, Niccolo Machiavelli. Big on history, but there's a lot of lessons here. About winning battles and war and all that, but it's a great lesson here. So what are some of the books that have shaped your ethos, your thinking?
So the number one book is a book, it may not be well known. The author, his name is Stephen K. Scott, and the book is called Mentored by a Millionaire. Have you heard of it before? I didn't think you would have heard of it, but that's one of the best books I've read, and I'll tell you why. He basically makes you create two things. One is a journal of how your life has gone to date, every decision you've made, every mistake you've made, how you could have done better, any success you've had, and any failure you've had, and why that happened. On the other end, he also helps you and shows you how to create a roadmap for your life. Goals. But as well as goals, how do you practically create steps to achieve these goals? Something else that the book does, it even makes you understand your personality type, your strength, your weakness, and how to even partner with other people and have a successful partnership. Something else that the book does, it's based on the book of Proverbs. Not to get religious, I'm a Christian man, and the book of Proverbs by King Solomon is something that I've read from a young age, naturally, at home, and sharing a lot of advice and giving a lot of wisdom. And his whole book is centered around wisdom and how to do things better, how to attract the right mentor, how to attract the right investors, sales, how to, copywriting. And what helps is that the author's background actually comes from marketing. He was a marketer. He done really well in his career. You see,
very good.
Another book that I really like is The One Thing by Gary Keller.
Yeah, that's a good book. Somewhere, yeah.
Amazing book. Amazing
that's a good book.
The reason why I love that, early years, a long time ago, when I first embarked on my journey of entrepreneurship, I was very naive, and I thought that having multiple businesses at the very beginning of your journey was a representation of success. Just being busy for the sake of it, being a busy fool, not to be rude, but just, I have this business, I have this other business here, we are doing this, we're delivering this service, or I work with these type of clients. And I was dividing my time and spreading myself incredibly thin because I didn't have the right focus. Yes, I did do relatively well, but I could have done better.
Yeah.
If I had focus. When I read that book by Gary Keller, The One Thing, something it taught me was that every successful person, the ones you're looking at today that have accumulated massive success, they started with one thing first. They became very good at that one thing. They built that one business. They became incredibly successful. And only once they had done that, they were able to diversify and be involved in multiple ventures because they now have the infrastructure and the team the right leadership to be able to manage all of these businesses. But before getting to that point, they focus on one thing. And without focus, you will always remain mediocre. And that's key. I love that book. Very important book for me.
Since we are marketing men and salesmen, what's your favorite sales book and what's your favorite marketing or sales podcast or YouTube video or channel?
So if we talk about podcasts, I mean, I wouldn't say I focus on marketing podcasts, but I do focus a lot on entrepreneurial podcasts.
Okay, great.
Because one thing that I like to read on or I like to listen to is hearing the journey and what a successful person has gone through in order to accumulate success. I'm not too concerned about all of the nice things, fancy stuff. You know, their net worth is this amount of billions and hundreds of millions of this. That doesn't do anything for me. Understanding the adversity that this particular entrepreneur went through, understanding what sacrifices they had to make, challenges they had to face. I recently posted a video when I was speaking about the general misconception online is that entrepreneurship is a happy, merry type of scenario when, yes, we enjoy the fruits of our labor. I'm a family man. I have my wife, I have my children, and I do everything possible to provide for my family. But as well as all of those type of, the positive side and, being able to maybe travel more and having a few nice things, behind the scenes, we're always dealing with problems. An entrepreneur is essentially problem solving every single day. We expect things to go wrong because when things go wrong, you're heading in the right direction. As controversial as it may sound, the bigger the set, the higher, you try to reach or the level you try to reach, the bigger the problems. And essentially, we are solving problems continuously. So just to answer your question, I like to read more about entrepreneurship. But when it comes down to marketing, there's a book that I really like, and it's called The 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing. Small little red book. And
it's an old book. I'll read.
Yeah, I'll read. Correct. Yeah. Yes. And so you read the book before?
Yeah, I've read it. It's a great book. Anybody who's serious about marketing should read that book.
Absolutely. And
it's a great book.
I'm sure you understand why we like that book. I mean, that's when I understood from that book that perception is everything.
Yeah.
Perception is everything. Because you've seen the examples that Al Rees gives in the book.
Yeah.
He even gives the example of Coca-Cola. Yep. That's where my example actually came from. But as well as doing that, there's other people I like to listen to, speakers like Rory Sutherland, for example.
It's brilliant.
Who for me is the number one marketing person of our time. Honestly, I've created multiple videos speaking about him and some of the examples and philosophies and ideologies that he comes up with is absolutely genius.
Yeah.
He makes you look at things from a total different angle. Something that you would not have seen or you might have missed. He will somehow find it and make you understand that everything these brands are doing is marketing.
Roy is a smart guy. He's a very, very smart guy. His book, The Alchemy, is also a very good book as well.
The Alchemy, yeah.
It's a very, very good book.
You know, the funny thing is, I have the book, but I haven't actually read it fully.
His content is everywhere, so you don't even need to read his book.
No, but just even his interview with Stephen Bartlett, that I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, it's a brilliant guy. Brilliant guy.
Absolutely.
Wow, Roy, this has been a fascinating conversation, man.
Yeah, I
did. It's like we are sitting in a coffee shop having a great cup of coffee and just chopping it up. Wow. One more. I always ask my guests this question, Roy. If you're gonna, I've done 181 episode of this podcast now. God has been faithful. I've got to tell you, man. It's been faithful.
Amazing. Well done, by the way, because that shows great determination, consistency.
Yeah.
And, sometimes, a lot of the time, people do not get to this point where they've been so consistent and played over 100 episodes.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Well done.
It is. So if there's somebody that you say, Paul, you've got to talk to, I can actually make an introduction for you. You got to bring this person on the podcast. Who would that person be?
That's the interesting one.
Yeah.
Do they have to come from the same industry as me?
No, it doesn't have to come up from the same industry. I like talking to people from all genres.
There's a gentleman that has a very interesting story. I mean, I'll probably tell you who he is off camera, if you don't mind.
Okay.
But
Sure.
I'll speak a bit about him and create a persona.
Okay.
He started from nothing. He's a good friend of mine, and he's maybe 7 to 10 years my senior. I'm 35 now, and started off with his studies. Was an academia. He worked and he left his career, started from scratch, and he has built one of the most successful renewable energy companies and partnered with the largest commodity company in the world. And he's doing some great, amazing business and developing in all over Africa, a lot of European countries. And he's just an inspiration, just seeing what he's been able to do, seeing the journey, how humble he is, the advice that he gives to the younger entrepreneurs coming up behind him. He's a very interesting in character, and I think you'll definitely benefit from interviewing somebody like that. It'll be good for your audience to be able to understand what it's like running a large corporation and being in partnership with some of the biggest companies in the world.
Gotcha. That'll be good. I would if you make the introduction, I always say to people jokingly that there's nobody I can't get on this podcast. It's just time.
I totally agree with you. Anything you want on the podcast, you should be able to attract them.
There's nobody I can't get on the podcast. That's how I got 182 guests. So.
Amazing, well done.
Thank you. So if people want to check out more of what you're doing, where should we direct them to? Because I'm going to put a link of your website or your Instagram handle on the show notes.
So I would say social media, Instagram and TikTok. On Instagram, my name is official Roy Dano. So you put it below somewhere.
Yeah, I'm going to put it there.
My name is Roy.Dano, and the website, you can go to either piv-media.com or you can go to roydano.co.
Fantastic. So this episode comes out on Sunday. This episode will be out on Sunday, but I'll start dropping snippets of it to get people ready for it. So thank you so much, brother. We can just chat a little bit about. I'll stop the recording now. Chat a little bit and then I'll call it off. Yeah.